Today's video is going to cover top supplements used for adrenal health in practice. I'm going to cover which supplements I use, see the most benefit with in my clients, and also how I test to know which is most appropriate for them. Before I do, my name is Dr. Chelsea Hiles. I go by Hermione ND on YouTube, where I alchemize leading edge health science with traditional healing arts so that you can transform your health and re inspire your life. When it comes to adrenal health, there are a couple of patterns that I see in practice. Now, these are outside of the range of adrenal diseases called Cushing's, when adrenal hormone, stress hormone cortisol, is way too high. Your primary care would diagnose Cushing's. If it's way, way, way too low, something called Addison's disease could be described. For a lot of people, however, the effects of chronic stress put them in a functional range of abnormal. So they don't meet the diagnostic criteria for Addison's or Cushing's, but their stress hormone is too high to go to sleep well at night. They feel wired and tired, restless, irritable throughout the day, and energy can be really sporadic. On the low end of the spectrum, people's stress hormone can be too low for them to have much energy throughout the course of the day. These people might sleep 12 hours a night, wake up, and still feel drained and exhausted. And then when we run lab testing to see where hormones range, they don't meet the diagnostic criteria of disease, but in this functional range, they're outside of optimal. That's what we're talking about here today. Under prolonged stress, first phase that I see is people who meet that wired but tired category. In this category, go-to supplements include phosphatidylserine and adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha. These help to create a little bit of space between stress and response. So when a stress comes along and maybe you go right into fight or flight, when we do this habitually, it becomes a very ingrained pattern. Just like strengthening a muscle, you get really good at stressing out. The benefit of something like phosphatidylserine or one of these adaptogens is it creates a little bit of space where the stressor comes, and instead of immediately having a stress response to it, there's a little bit more space, and in there we can insert things to help relax, calm the system, and move in a different direction. For people, these can also help a lot for that wired and tired feeling in the evening where it's hard to fall asleep. If chronic stress continues for a period longer, then we start to see that pattern where people are really drained, really exhausted. No matter how much you sleep, you feel pretty flatlined. In these cases, there are a couple of go-tos that I use. Primarily, we're looking at adrenal glandular products. So products made from desiccated adrenal glands of animals. Also here, vitamin C can be quite helpful as a supplement or incorporated through nutrition. Those in and of themselves make a world of difference when we're treating adrenals. Stress regulating herbs like nervine herbs, in this category we think about things like chamomile or lavender, kava, skullcap. All of these herbs help to calm that fight or flight system, and they pair nicely with adrenal glandulars as well as phosphatidylserine and adaptogens. So anywhere along the spectrum, those nervine type herbs can be used with great effect. Typically, when I'm putting together an adrenal protocol for a client, it spans about a month as long as lifestyle interventions are being put into play. If the lifestyle is not changing, people can get into a place where they rely on these supplements long term. So something to consider for yourself. Now, how do we decide where we are in that spectrum? Well, for one, you can go based on symptoms, as I described earlier in this video. You can also rely on functional lab testing. When it comes to lab testing, my go-to is the Dutch test, where we're looking at dried urine metabolites. We take samples throughout the course of the day so that we can see what your stress hormone does in the course of the day. And if you have a very reactive pattern where stress hormone spikes super high or stays high throughout the course of the day, that's where I would look to things like phosphatidylserine, adaptogens, and nervine herbs. For people where there's those low lows or they're low throughout the course of the day, that's where I would look at things like the desiccated adrenal, vitamin C, and adding in nervines. I hope that that's helpful. If you'd like to see my specific product recommendations, In the caption field below, you'll see a link for something I call the Wild Woman's Medicine Cabinet, which are most of my go-to supplements that I use in practice and personally behind the scenes. Enjoy.